Today, I'm going to rank every game console by how well it would work as a toaster. Yes, you heard that right. Toasters and game consoles, two of the best technologies humans have ever developed. One allows us to enjoy games, and the other allows us to enjoy toast, so it's only natural that they would combine someday. The main thing a toaster does is turn electricity into heat, to toast toast. And the main thing a game console does is also turn electricity into heat, to run games. So in theory, we just need to figure out which game console's heat is most easy to capture for our nefarious toasting purposes. I'm going to rank every console by how evenly and how quickly they could toast a piece of bread. And I'll be using a tier list to do this, because it's a great way to rank things that never causes any drama whatsoever. This is actually LTT's tier list, but I modified it to have the Switch too, so it's up to date. It's missing all the handheld consoles, but come on. Do you think this would make a good toaster? I'll start by putting the PC in F tier, because although it generates a lot of heat, it does not count as a game console. If you look at the motherboard of an older console, like the SNES, you'll see a lot of chips covered in black plastic. These older chips weren't as powerful, so they didn't need to be cooled down as much. Newer game consoles use metal to cool, since they run hotter. So we can eliminate every game console that uses plastic heatsinks. If it can't get hot enough to melt plastic, it won't get hot enough to toast toast. There's a lot of consoles that this eliminates. Consider this the F-tier speedrun. Pong, 2600, 5200, 7800, Jaguar, 3DO, CDI, CD32, Channel F, ColecoVision, Telstar, Color TV Game, NES, SNES, SG-1000, Master System, Genesis, Saturn, Intellivision, Hyperscan, Neo Geo, Odyssey, Odyssey 2, TurboGrafx, PCFX, and last but not least, PlayStation 1. If they can't make enough heat to need a heatsink, they're not going to make good toast. Now we're left with 16 game consoles. I'll rank them all by how much heat they should be able to generate. Then once that's done, we can figure out which one has the most toast-friendly design. By the way, I'm only looking at the launch model for each console, otherwise this video will be way too long. I'm going to go one company at a time, and we'll start with Sega. The Dreamcast is their only console that made it, and I'm not really sure how to rank it. Here's a map of the board. We can see that the two large chips in the center are the CPU and GPU. They have these thermal pads on them, which direct heat into the metal chassis. But the disk drive covers most of that chassis, which only leaves our toast with a tiny corner, barely enough to warm it. D tier. Next up, we've got Nintendo, who are bringing 6 consoles to the toast party. The N64, GameCube, Wii, Wii U, Switch, and Switch 2. We'll start with the N64. It uses 3 blocks of metal that cover the CPU, coprocessor, and RAM. In the best case scenario, we would be able to toast 3 tiny squares of our bread, but the rest would still be raw. C tier. The GameCube motherboard has a large GPU in the center, with 2 RAM chips above it and a CPU below it. The CPU and GPU have metal squares on them, and the whole package is covered with a large metal heatsink. Which brings us to our first problem of the video. What do we do with a heatsink? It doesn't provide a flat surface to press bread onto, but the inside of a toaster isn't flat either. It uses these heating coils to indirectly toast the bread. So do we consider a heatsink a good toaster or not? I think it's going to depend on the heatsink, but this one isn't quite wide enough to do a good heating job. B tier. The Wii is really just a GameCube that went to the gym, with a similarly big GPU and a tiny CPU. The heatsink that sits on top of those is even smaller than the one on the GameCube, because the RAM is passively cooled. Less surface area, worse toast. C tier. The Wii U looks a lot more like a modern game console. The CPU and GPU are on the same die, and the RAM surrounds the whole thing, similar to how it's placed on things like the PS4, which we'll look at later. The heatsink is a bit bigger than that of the Wii, because the Wii U can output up to 3 times as much heat. The entire heatsink is covered with a metal shield, and the rest of the motherboard is covered by a plate, which provides a lot of surface area and our best toasting solution yet. A tier. Next up is the Nintendo Switch. The motherboard of this console is absolutely tiny, packing an APU, which is the term for a CPU combined with a GPU, 2 RAM chips, and flash memory into a few square inches of space. The entire package is covered with a small metal heat spreader, then connected to an exhaust fan via a copper pipe. We don't have a lot of metal surface area for toasting, but we could potentially use the back cover. There are slots at the bottom of the Switch, and they are not speakers if you were wondering. They're actually air vents. Air is drawn through those vents and out the exhaust port at the top, which means the back of the console could stand to get quite hot when the console is at full load. Nintendo's website even warns that it could get hot enough to burn your skin. I couldn't find exact temps, but if we put 2 switches on either side of a piece of bread, the hot parts would contact both sides of the bread. It's basically a lawsuit sandwich. A tier. Switch 2, this is just a bigger and more powerful Switch, which means more heat, more surface area, and a bigger lawsuit. Assuming we put one on each side of the toast, this is our best option yet, S tier. And with that, we're done with Nintendo consoles, which means it's PlayStation time. We'll start off with the PS2 because the first PlayStation didn't even use a proper heatsink. But first, if you've watched to this point of the video, you must be having a good time. So if you want to see more videos like this, make sure to subscribe. Alright, let's look at the PS2's motherboard. Unlike other consoles we've looked at, the PS2's GPU only has a plastic cap, while the CPU, which runs at twice the clock speed, has a metal one. It's all covered in a pretty tiny heatsink, just like the Wii. D tier. The PS3 is well known for getting very, very hot, which is largely due to a terrible default fan curve. If you have a hacked PS3, you should definitely adjust your fan curve. It could really extend the lifespan of your console. The original PS3 has 4 metal-covered chips: the Cell CPU, the GPU, a large input and output controller, and the backwards compatibility chip, which holds a PS2 CPU and GPU. The chips are covered by thermal pads that then run copper pipes directly to the fan, which does not offer a lot of heating surface area. There's also a hard drive slot, and if you shove a piece of toast in there, you might not be able to ever get it back out, but both sides would be heated at least a little bit. B tier. The PS4, this is essentially a space heater with games. The exhaust from the fan easily hits hundreds of American degrees, and this thing has one big system on a chip, which encompasses both the CPU and GPU. It's surrounded by RAM, similar to the Wii U's layout, and the chip is connected to a large, flat heatsink, which provides our best single-side heating surface yet, A tier. Finishing up the PlayStation family is the PS5. This console has, without a doubt, the weirdest and most interesting cooling system on the market. I guess Sony got tired of being known as the overheating company. A large APU sits in the middle, and on the bottom, the RAM chips are arranged in a circle. A circle, folks, when do you ever see that? The chip itself is covered in liquid metal, which is basically the world's best thermal paste. Copper heat pipes connect that liquid metal to what I'm convinced is the largest heatsink in the world. You want surface area for your toast? Here it is. The PS5's massive fan actually pulls in air from both sides, which is known as omnidirectional cooling. This is a pretty ideal gaming toaster, as long as you don't mind flipping your bread halfway through. S tier. Which leaves us with the 5 Xboxes. I'll talk about each of them, and then we'll decide once and for all which game console makes the best toaster. The original Xbox has a big GPU and a smaller CPU, and they're both covered by their own heatsinks. Even by our low standards, this one is not good. 2 different heatsinks at 2 different heights. You will have a very bad time toasting on the original Xbox. D tier. The launch model Xbox 360 has a really tall heatsink next to a really short one. Xbox, why do you keep doing this? Have you even considered the subset of your audience that likes toast? The 360 Slim is a bit better with this huge honkin' cube of heatsink, but I said we're only looking at launch models. The shorter heatsink might work, but it's not that big. C tier. The Xbox One has one big chip in the middle. Maybe that's why it's called the Xbox One. And that chip contains the CPU and GPU, surrounded by a ridiculous amount of RAM chips. This really big and flat heatsink sits on top of it, which is almost the exact regulation size of a slice of toast. This is the second best heatsink we've seen, after the PS5, which means that the Xbox One gets a B tier. That's pretty funny, Xbox has gotten a higher tier every time. Let's see if the pattern continues. The Xbox Series X and Xbox Series S, man, those names are hard to say, were released at the same time, but I'm going to look at the S first. It's got a pretty tiny motherboard with a single system on a chip in the middle, which attaches to this massive heatsink. This is basically the same one we saw on the Xbox One, so we'll put it in A tier. The Series X has basically the same motherboard layout, just bigger. They use this really bright mint green thermal paste that kinda looks like toothpaste. You will surely not regret brushing your teeth with the Xbox paste. The main chip connects directly to one of the largest heatsinks I've ever seen. This thing is a unit. I don't think it's quite as big as the one on the PS5, but it has a perfectly flat top, and it's the perfect size for toast. S tier. Now that the list is complete, it's time to figure out which game console is the best at making toast. Coincidentally, we ended up with one console from each company in S tier: the Switch 2, Xbox Series X, and PS5. These are also the 3 most powerful consoles, which makes sense. Lots of power means lots of heat. I think the PS5 is the weakest of these 3. Its odd heatsink shape could result in uneven toasting, which is the last thing you want. Which leaves us with the Series X, which has a big, flat metal surface, and the Switch 2, which is our best option if we want to heat both sides of the bread. The Series X can apparently get very hot. I saw people online saying it can even be too hot to touch after a long play session. On the other hand, the Switch 2 also hits high temps, especially if you use it outside. So who wins? Xbox gets hotter, but Switch 2 can toast both sides of the bread at the same time if you use two of them. But to be fair, you could also use two Xboxes if you had the money and you really wanted to. We really should rank on which console can do it best by itself, which means that the best toaster award goes to the Xbox Series X. Xbox has been having a really tough go in the market lately, so hopefully this boosts morale. I made sure to let the team know. Now that the video's over, you're probably going to go watch something else. But since you watched all the way to the end, you probably liked my video style. So I put two more of my videos on the screen. You'll probably enjoy those too. Anyway, that's all for me. I hope you have a really good day.